Like, share, subscribe. Shouts out to the Lions Den community. And don't y'all forget to subscribe to the podcast show. Link will be pinned in the top of the chat.
Just name the channel who could bang with us. I'll prove that you are smoking dust. GGD Media is top notch in this game, y'all. You failures only have yourself to blame, y'all. Ticket TV and they weapons make you suckers cry. Why don't you close your channel, crawl into a hole and die? Shout out to those who love our movement, no, we'll never flop until you get your mouth off LGBT. We are the underground out the job. We built this whole thing by ourselves, no in y'all. Independence start with self-preservation. If you can't take care of self, then how can you build a nation, y'all? Yup, we got that merch for the ladies and yes, we even got that merch for the babies and we got appliances and everything that you will need. We got some banging songs that make anemic haters bleed.
All right, man. Salute everybody. Y'all press 1 if y'all can hear me in the comments. Press 1 if y'all can hear me. Got a mic check. 1 2 1 2. If you guys can hear me, press 1. I have a special guest coming in here for y'all tonight. The homegirl's coming back up in here. Lauren Conlin, who was in the courtroom, who's been in the courtroom reporting and covering this entire trial. So you guys are going to get firsthand commentary at what actually is going on in the courtroom and what actually happened today. Now, salute to everybody that's tapped on in. Share the video, like the video if you guys want. Y'all can click the link pinned at the top of the chat. Salute to everybody that's tapped in, man. I appreciate all you guys, man. Everybody that's been tapping in, showing love, man. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate all of you guys. I appreciate all of you guys. And so, yeah, man. Look, so TMZ, they came out and they released some news today that was in the courtroom, right? And in the courthouse today, the pictures, and I haven't put all of them up on the screen, but they have released the pictures of the sex workers involved in this case. Now, a lot of things you guys are not seeing that's going on in the courtroom. A lot of things are being entered into evidence, and this is one of them, man. And they actually gave the sex workers with the names, you know what I'm saying, of these workers, most of them. And it was maybe 2 of them that they didn't give names of, 2 or 3 that they didn't have the names of yet. But I'm pretty sure now they're going to find out whoever the hell they is since they put those pictures out in the public. But Jonathan Oddie, he is down there in the left-hand corner down there. That is him. And so he will be testifying in this trial, if I'm not mistaken, man, and that is going to be damning testimony. But today, a lot of things happen today in this case, in this trial. Now, and I salute everybody that's tapped on in to the building. I appreciate all of y'all once again. Now, according to TMZ, it says Diddy alleged sex workers have finally been unmasked as week 2 of the testimony gets underway in the music mogul's federal racketeering and sex trafficking trial in New York. It says on Monday, prosecutors released a document dump of exhibits entered into trial evidence, dropping an avalanche of photos and other information. Some of the pitch shows the faces of the sex workers Diddy allegedly hired to be transported across state lines. For freakoffs with significant others, including Cassie. Now it says the feds define a freakoff as Diddy, a girlfriend, and a male sex worker engaging in marathon sex sessions that were often recorded by Bad Boy Records CEO Diddy inside the hotel rooms. Now it says that the prosecutors, hold on you guys, I got my guest in here right now, so we're going to get right to the funk. And I'm glad she has pulled up, and she is $100 grand in the building. Lauren, what's going on?
Hi, how are you?
Oh, man, I'm good, man. It's good to have you back.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry I don't have as much time tonight.
You're doing a great
Children
job.
need me or something. I'm just kidding.
You're doing a great job. And I'm gonna tell everybody once again to go subscribe to your channel. I look at all your updates and stuff. So we talked about some of your updates today. But while you're in here, I want you to go through, well, we can just start right here. I was just talking about the pictures of the sex workers that they had released today in the courtroom. Can you give us firsthand breakdown of what happened with that today?
Yeah, so that actually, these exhibits that are coming out now, we saw these last week already. So these are everything that you guys have seen was flashed on the screen to the jury, to us. They were given to the witnesses and also the defense and the government in binders to look at. So we saw these. I mean, it's kind of wild to be able to now have them in possession and look at them and study them, because I don't know if you heard testimony on Friday from the special agent, the HSI agent, but she said she subpoenaed someone named Paul Arthur. And I'm like, who's Paul Arthur? And we saw his picture, and then the Daily Mail actually put it together, and Paul Arthur was an escort that they used. And I had written down, because Cassie couldn't remember all of the names of these escorts, so I was kind of describing them, and I had kind of written down, bald, New York-based escort. Paul Arthur's bald, and he's Brooklyn-based, so I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Right. Okay, so they entered all those pictures in the evidence today. Now, they had a lot of names on TMZ. Some of the people they didn't have names for, but I'm pretty sure now their pictures are out there publicly. They're probably going to get identified quick.
Total. I mean, there's so many sleuths out there, or people that just know these people, because a lot of these guys, like, they weren't, escorts full time, let's say. They were trainers. They did other things. So I'm sure they're going to be recognized.
How did they did they say in court how they found these guys, or did they say anything like that?
Yeah. So a lot of them, a handful of them came from Cowboys for Angels, which is an escort service. And it was run by this guy, Garen. And then they pointed out, I forget who pointed this out, but it was a lot of these escorts, and this company, I guess, was featured on this show, Gigolos, this reality show. And I kind of remember that show. I mean, I don't really watch it, but I do remember seeing it. Was it Showtime or HBO? And then the escort that testified second, Daniel Phillip, he actually wasn't a real escort. He described it as basically a strip club for women type of thing. He did bachelorette strip teases and all that stuff, but he was actually a manager that would kind of go out on these jobs. So, I mean, I think that, Cassie said Craigslist for a couple of them. She named a couple places. So, I mean, dude, that was like 3 notebooks ago. My notebooks are so filled up now.
Yeah, look, so I have a question. I have a couple of questions for you about that.
Yeah.
So let's go to the third count. That is transportation to participate in solicitation of prostitution. Mm-hmm. Now, that right there, that they got those workers, and you haven't multiple workers already testified that they were paid to do sex acts?
The one, Daniel Phillip, testified that he was paid thousands of dollars by Cassie Ventura, and they tried to kind of elicit, I believe, yeah. So we've only heard from one escort or one person that did freakoffs with them besides Cassie. So she said she gave the money, but I mean, she also testified that Diddy would give them money at other times too. But I think that's going to be the easiest, or those 2 charges are going to be the easiest to get him on, because
that charge right there. Yeah, that's a slam dunk right there, because you already
agree with you.
And let me say this to you. This is the crazy part. Now, I know you heard this, and I want to get your tea on this. So they said that when they went to arrest Diddy, that they found cash, drugs, and baby oil in the room. So do you think that they're setting that up to come back to that maybe they have the actual sex worker that was going to go in there at that time and work? Because think about this. He was thinking at that time that maybe I'm gonna have to turn myself in. I'm already been raided. I'm already being investigated. How in the hell do you go in a hotel in New York?
Dude.
What was the mood in the courtroom when they found out? Because they said that the officer waived the money in front of the jury. That's true?
Yes. Yes. I mean, the thing is, I think, the first week in court, it it went from literally 9 to 5 with a very short break. And I truly believe everybody was exhausted by the time that she testified. Truly, it was the end of the day. So I don't think the reactions were quite as big as you would think. But then after the fact, I mean, I kept thinking about this because I was like, his attorneys, when he wanted, to be out on bail, and they were having these bail hearings, his attorneys were like, well, look, he flew to New York in anticipation of being arrested. So like he's doing all the right things. And then to hear her say that not only did he have that cash, baby oil, multiple bottles in the bathtub, Astroglide, he also had in the Louis Vuitton med bag that we keep hearing about. We've heard 3 witnesses talk about this bag, corroborating it. He had MDMA and ketamine, which Cassie testified was used in the FOs. So, and then she said she thought there was a woman there. So either he already had one or he was planning to have one, in my opinion. I mean, it's just like, what are you doing?
I asked you because in the indictment, it says that from 2009 all the way up to 2024, which would have been when they got him, because when they got him in November 2024,
September,
they said that November. Remember, it says on the indictment, it says November, because that's count.
He was arrested at the Park Hyatt, or apprehended in September.
Hold on, see, it says it right here. Look, it says right there. It says from let me see. I think it's right here. It says right here, from at least 2009. Well, hold on. I got it. I got the actual.
It does say November somewhere, but he was arrested in September.
Okay.
I do know that.
Oh, yeah. No. Okay, because it says like he was preparing to I forget how they were. Oh, right here. So this is on the count 3, right there on your screen. Now it says from in at least about 2009 up into including about 2024 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, the defendant knowingly transported an individual in interstate and foreign commerce. Now, peep this. It says with intent that the individual engage in prostitution. So that's the question I wanted to ask you. It says with intent. So do you think that they were charging him with that too, under that, because he was intending to have a freak off? Because it says up until 2024 in the state of New York and elsewhere. So that was in New York, and it says the intent. So do you think that they maybe had, because this is what I think. I think they got tipped off that he was going to have a freak off or he had something going on, and they ran in there and got him while they could get him like that in the room.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I feel really conflicted about this, because how do you not know, or how do you not think that the feds are not on your tail after they raid your house? Like, I am truly baffled by that. I mean, I think we heard, I have to go back and check, but I think we heard some testimony about something that happened, or some kind of intimidation or alleged intimidation that happened after the raid. But I'm not certain. But yeah, I mean, I think that he was still engaging in his behavior, if I had to guess, after March. Because look, I feel like this is also an addiction, if you will. And he can't just stop what he's doing cold turkey, right? I mean, he is an addict. He's gone to rehab, or alleged rehab, we think. He's tried to get off drugs through this Mexican plant, I guess. I mean, I just feel like I don't see him stopping because he can't. And I think someone in the chat just said, yeah, he's addicted to it. That's how I feel. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was planning one, or already had one.
So let me ask you this. So you're in the courtroom today, and everybody's been talking about, how can you have a one-man RICO? There are no co-conspirators. Now, me and you, we had a conversation last week, and I told you, because you was like, I don't see RICO yet. And I said, wait, you're going to get it. So now comes Crybaby in court today, right there.
Oh,
now you have to tell us, because you were in the courtroom. You have to tell us what happened with this is the first guy that they brought in, I think, officially from the enterprise, who was a part of Diddy's enterprise, a part of what they call his co-defendants and people who have flipped on him. What happened with him, David James, today in court? Give us the scene on what happened.
Sure. So David, I would say he was really only on the stand for about maybe 35 minutes, if I had to guess. He was the last witness, the end of the day. And so it's his direct. They actually said his direct is probably going to take another hour tomorrow. But what we heard from him, I want to get to something that he said specifically. So he talked about how he was an assistant for Diddy from May 2007 to May 2009. And he said that when he was interviewing at Bad Boy, he talked to someone named Vashta, who was the head of HR at Bad Boy. And he said, and this is where he started crying. And they were like, "Do you need a minute?" And he was like, "No, I'm good." And they're like, there's tissues right there. And I was
Hold
like,
on,
what?
so he's crying. Hold on, he's crying, and Diddy's looking at this guy while he's crying.
Oh, wait, yes, and wait, sorry, I should have said this. When he walked in, like I was sitting like right on the end of my of the row, and when David James walked in, boy, this is my opinion, but I thought he looked super nervous. And Diddy, he's standing up, and he looked him up and down. He didn't take his eyes off him, but he also didn't give him like an intimidating look, I guess. But it like he didn't take his eyes off him. But so back to the HR lady. He's interviewing a Bad Boy, and this is where he kind of needs a minute. And they're like, "There's tissues." He's like, I'm sitting in her office, and she points to a picture of Diddy, and she says, "This is Mr. Combs' kingdom. We're here to serve him."
What?
I was like, yeah, that's what she said.
Hold on. Say that one more time. What happened?
She said, "This is Mr. Combs' kingdom. We're here to serve him."
Who said that?
Her name is Vashta. If he gave a last name, I didn't write it fast enough.
Hold on. He said that today in court?
Yeah. She was the HR lady that was interviewing him. So, oh yes. And someone said Gene Deal did pull up. I was doing a live shot for Nancy Grace outside, and I saw Gene Deal, and I wanted to run literally and like go grab him. But yeah, I was live. But anyway, yeah. So David James, he said that was a moment. He also said when he finally sat with Diddy for his like final interview, he asked him like, why do you want to be a personal assistant, whatever. And he gave him some, BS answer that he liked. And then he also added, I can't stop, won't stop. And he said, Mr. Combs shook his head at that. And I kind of looked over at Diddy, and Diddy was in the back of his chair shaking his head, like agreeing with him, which is kind of funny. I was kind of like, oh, he remembers that specifically. And I saw a lot of things, or a lot of times today, when Diddy was shaking his head, when Cassie's former best friend was testifying, and she was saying things like, that they used to have fun on these trips, and they all, were friends at one point, and they had love for one another. He would kind of shake his head, like thinking of like a happy memory. In my opinion, that's my opinion. But
hold on. So now let's get into his testimony. What else was he saying? Because he said some. What he went on the stand and said was, I heard that part about how he got hired. I heard he also was saying, speaking of, the security guards told him, "Look, hey, you need to stay in your lane, stay in your place."
Yes.
And then he said something like, Diddy, Cassie said to him that she said to him that it's crazy. Like, how did he say that when he said that Cassie was like, "Yo, this life is crazy"?
Yeah, so he said they were in Star Island in Miami, and Diddy, I think he had flown Cassie in trying to woo her, and this is early on in their relationship. Okay, no, I'm sorry. So he said, okay, so David James testified actually, no, that's right. He was with Cassie twice, or had like 2 conversations with her, and yeah, the first one was at in Miami, Star Island, and he kind of said Cassie was like, "Wow." I thought I wrote, oh yeah, she said, "Man, this lifestyle is crazy." And he was kind of like, "You can get out if you want." And she said something along the lines of, I'm paraphrasing, "Well, he pays my salary for my homes, and he's in charge of my career," alluding like that, she couldn't. And he also, David James, got a little emotional thinking about the other time he's with Cassie. They shared a cab meeting Diddy from the airport going to like the Sundance Film Festival one year. Mm-hmm. And this is not even like a salacious moment, but he got teary-eyed thinking of how excited Cassie was about this album that she was working on. And he said she was talking about all her new music. And like, you know, I think he said, was she playing some of it? He just said she was excited to share this with him. And he just had this like wistful look in his eyes. And then the government's like, did that album ever get released? And he's like, no, I don't think so. But that, in my opinion, if I may, I feel like that was a little bit coached or rehearsed, because like this guy wasn't super in the know about, you know, when albums were coming out and whatever. So I kind of felt like that was like a moment that they not staged, but like I said, because witnesses get coached. You're allowed to get coached by, you know. But
what did you think, like, from today? What did you feel his role? Because he said one of the last things he said before they let him out of court is that he overheard Diddy saying that his woman was Kim Porter, and that she was in LA with the kids, and that Cassie was his young girl, that he was, you know, he was gonna have his way with her, do whatever he wanted to do, and she was a young girl that he could mold however he wanted to. Is that true? Because that's what's being reported in this.
And now I'm so mad because I forgot to put that in my updates. I give all these updates and I'm like, oh, there's so much, and I have it right here. I wrote it down. He said he was in the back of, an SUV, and Diddy was with somebody, and this person he was with, make sure I didn't write it down, said, how's Kim? What's going on? And he said, Kim's great. She's in LA with the kids. That's my queen. And they said, how's Cassie? And he said that Diddy said, I've got her right where I want her. She's young and she's moldable.
So he said that, like, so did he say that in a way like he groomed her?
That's how I took it.
The reason why I'm asking you that is because, tell me if this is true or not. Somebody said, and I can't remember who it was. Oh no, it was her friend. What was it? Carrie Morgan.
Carrie Morgan, yeah.
Now Carrie Morgan testified that when she met Cassie, she's known Cassie for like, I guess she's known her for a long time before she even knew Diddy.
17 years.
She said Cassie didn't really drink, never used drugs, anything like that. Is that true?
She said she actually said at one point, when Cassie drank, which if she drank, it wasn't that much. Like if she drank too much, Carrie would have to stick her finger down Cassie's throat. She actually said that. I remember specifically because I thought it was so odd. But yeah, she said maybe they would smoke weed, but really didn't drink. She also said, which I thought was super sad, she said Cassie was so confident in her modeling, and she was a very successful model before she met Diddy. And also me and you came out before Diddy as well. So she was feeling herself. She was confident. And it was really tragic the way Carrie Morgan said that she actually even described Cassie's posture after Diddy and meeting Diddy, how Cassie just kind of, you know, she would just even be kind of slumped over. So that was sad, really sad.
Man, so she really broke down like Cassie wasn't this type of person before she met Diddy. Now, she did say today, I think it was Mark who was questioning her. Was he a jackass when he was questioning her today? Because
no.
He said something like, because he said something in the end, I'm going to ask you, because he said a quote, and it sounded like a jerk quote, like, well, you know, I guess she didn't have any more need for you, when he was talking about them being friends or something like that, and them not talking anymore. Because when they didn't talk, because he was like, hadn't talked since 2018.
Yeah, I remember thinking, so I didn't think he was I actually find Mark to be one of Diddy's more likable attorneys. Like this guy, like he holds the door for people in court. He's super jolly. Just kind of seems approachable, like the dad next door. And you know, him and Carrie Morgan were kind of laughing together at one point because he's like, I'll get you out of here so you can go enjoy the sunshine. And even Diddy laughed. But at the end, what happened was Carrie revealed that the wooden hanger incident where Diddy hit her, that was this friendship ending incident. We were told last week that Cassie, she sued Cassie and Diddy over this. And he's like, well, why? You know, Cassie and Diddy technically, you know, they weren't together, and Cassie's not with Diddy anymore. Now she's a family, a new husband, you know. So it was like twofold. So he's like, number one, why did you sue both of them? And why did this end your friendship? And number two, why can't you restore your friendship now that she's moved on? And she said number one was because Cassie acted like it wasn't a big deal that Diddy did this. And she kind of was like taking Diddy's side. And then number two, Carrie Morgan, and this is towards the end, she was like, I don't know, like, why doesn't she reach out to me? And it kind of felt a little bit juvenile, I guess. And then Carrie said something like, well, I mean, I'm sure her numbers changed by now anyway. It was just strange.
So she doesn't like Cassie.
Well, I don't know, because towards the end, I felt like she was almost like, well, maybe I would, but I'm sure her numbers changed. That's what I kind of thought was weird. But what was revealed was that she didn't actually sue them. She was going to. She had a lawyer. And then Cassie had this meeting with her at a pizza place, which, you know, we can assume, I guess, if I'm going to assume, it was at the directive of Diddy, because she said, look, let's not go through lawyers. Let's sign an NDA and we'll give you $30,000.
So they're proven. So let me ask you this. Do you think they're starting to prove parts of racketeering as far as, remember they said bribery is one of the things, all these people getting paid off, NDAs, because they said the same thing about Jonathan Otti, paid off, NDAs, all these things, like, to keep quiet. So that makes me think, like,
show us the NDA, which I think would have been really powerful for to prove this bribe. That's the thing. Like, you've got witness testimony, but as you know, you can't, I mean, you could get a conviction on witness testimony. Of course, you know, we saw that a lot in the 70s and the 80s before there was like DNA evidence in murder cases. So I think that if enough people allege the same thing, and then we see actual proof of these exchanges and these bribes, then yes, hands down.
But did he deny it?
What's that?
Did Diddy's team deny that they signed an NDA with her?
No, they didn't. I mean, you can't really, they didn't deny it, but, you know, I personally thought they could have been like, well, where is it? But what they did ask is like, well, did the government subpoena your devices? Did the government subpoena, you know what I mean? Like, so it was kind of just like, she didn't show it because nobody asked her for it. So I feel like she's got more corroborative testimony. I do feel like when we see the escorts, when we hear more from David James, you know, and maybe they'll have certain proof or evidence of some of this stuff. But in my opinion, which I guess you didn't really ask for, but I'll tell it anyway. I just think that right now, the easy convictions is the transportation agent. Yeah. But again, we're like day 6. This is going to be so brutal. I can't even tell you, like, they claim that they're pacing well, and they are, because the judge is super strict, super, like, you know, on it, but there's a lot of witnesses to go. And I actually wrote down.
How do you know that? How do you know that? Oh, and let me show you this. There is paperwork. That's Jonathan Otti's NDA with Diddy.
Yes, no, and that's why I think he's going to definitely testify. Absolutely, because we saw that when it was released. But we got the name of 4 witnesses. Where is it? That will be testifying this week.
Hold on. Stop right there. You got 4 more witness names that haven't testified already?
Oh yeah, we're going through. I mean, this is just the government's case in chief. I'm assuming that this is going to go, let's say, 5 weeks, if I had to guess, and we're on week 2. And then the defense, their case in chief, that usually is shorter, right? I mean, depending on how they do with cross, they could have a very short witness list. So,
but the judge said 6 weeks. I mean, excuse me. The prosecution said the other day they were on track to have 6 more weeks.
So yeah, I mean, if we're in week 2, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's like, I just, it's so
hold on. Who are the witnesses that you got this? I need to know this. Who you girl? You got all the information. Go ahead.
No, I know. So I wrote it down, and I scribbled it because I was running out of the courtroom, and then I heard him say something, and I was like, and I stopped. So I know one of them is Regina Ventura, which is Cassie's mom.
Right.
But she's not coming up. I thought she was going to be today. She wasn't today. And then one of them was a law enforcement officer, and his name, oh my gosh. Okay, here it is. Finally. Okay. Gerard Gammon, law enforcement. Regina Ventura, Cassie's mom. Jordan Atkinson, the chef.
Another part of the inner circle.
Yes, but hold on. I'll tell you the last one. And then I think I wrote down Charvey Hayes.
Right. Now hold on. So you said the chef. Now let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Now we've already talked about the solicitation of prostitution, transportation, solicitation of prostitution. We ain't got to talk about that no more. That's already pretty much in the bag. That's 10 years right there, easy. So so let me say this. So to the RICO, we've got bribery because he's paying all these people off. That's bribery. We've got kidnapping because on the tape, he held Cassie from leaving that hotel, which he tried to call the cops. And she got a settlement from the hotel because of the danger in that situation. So she got 10 more million.
They're trying to prove the kidnapping. And they
No,
talked about
you don't have to
that
prove the
morning.
kidnapping. Hold on, Lauren. You don't have to prove the kidnapping. It's on tape. Lauren, let me say this to you. If you're with me somewhere, you try to leave, and I forcefully beat you, stop you, and try to drag you back to the room with me, and then take your bags and put your bags in my room. And the only reason why you leave is because the security guard comes up there and you take the bag. That's kidnapping.
It's not that simple because there's conflicting testimony there because at one point Combs, said, "Oh, you can't leave, don't leave." But then it was disputed because the security guard said he didn't hear that, and Cassie did leave, and he was just beating her.
But that's
and
when the security came.
He got
he
got the phone. But my point is, this is not a fact. This is what the jury will believe. Will they believe the government's take on it, or will they think there's reasonable doubt there?
So you think? So let me ask you: when you watch that video when she was trying to leave? Because she was trying to leave. Remember, she goes.
But I'm not talking about that video for kidnapping. I'm talking about actual incidents that I feel was kidnapping. Like, hands down, when she said he would beat her and she would be so bruised that he would make her stay at the London hotel, she testified, for 7 to 10 days, and she couldn't leave and she couldn't call her mom, and food would be brought to her through assistants. I think personally, if an assistant gets up there, maybe someone at the hotel, who knows, and says, "Yeah, this happened," like, that is kidnapping right there. And that is easy.
But Laura, but wouldn't the video be easier? Because it shows him restraining her from leaving. Like, she literally goes down the hall. She has no shoes on. She's walking out with her bags and her phone. She hits the elevator button. Remember, she hits that button. She hits the button, is trying to put her shoes on. Here he comes around the corner like a hooligan, yanks her back, takes her bag, beats her, kicks her, takes her bag.
I saw it too, but it's not, unfortunately, there's no sound. We can't hear what he's saying. If he's saying, "Now you can't leave," or, whatever, it's not about what we know. We know what was going on. It's about what they can prove in court. And that video alone is not going to prove kidnapping because she ran away and used the phone, and he was just kind of sitting there.
But she used the phone to call security so she could get out. Security came up, and if security doesn't come out, he holds her there because, remember, he goes back and takes her phone. He goes back and takes the phone.
Or the defense could say something else. They could be like, "Well, yeah, they fought and she called whatever." Like, you can say, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I know what you're saying. I agree with you, but it's just not that simple. That's all I'm trying to point out. Like, you just can't.
So what about what was said today in court? Carrie Morgan said something else. But Carrie Morgan said something else today, and I want to ask you about that. She said that they were in a hallway and Diddy dragged her by her hair 50 yards. She
said they were in Jamaica. There's 2 incidents that she talked about. One was Jamaica, and this was kind of scary because she said that they rented this like big mansion for a while, and she said that Cassie went to the bathroom and she was taking too long, and then all of a sudden, like, Diddy approached her in the hallway. And then Carrie was still in the bar area of the house. And she said she heard a guttural, terrifying scream. And, this fight, he dragged her at one point, and maybe it was 50 feet. I don't know if I caught that. But, and again, I didn't say this in my video. I wish I did. But she described Cassie, him throwing her on the ground, and she hit her head on the cement. And Carrie said she was on the ground, on her side in a fetal position for 30 to 45 seconds, not moving.
So, but yet in the transcript, it says that Diddy drags her by the hair 50 yards down a 50-yard hallway. It says that exactly in the transcript.
Yeah, and maybe it was, but like I said, I'm writing as fast as I can, so I didn't count how many yards. But yeah, there was some dragging, and there was,
So all these things here's what I want to say to you. I think people are missing the point of what the feds are doing. I think they're building a house. And to build a house, you have to create a foundation. And I think the foundation they're creating is look, this man had this woman living in hell. He was beating her every time she didn't do what he wanted to do. And he was beating everybody else around him whenever they didn't do what he wanted them to do. Whenever somebody made him mad, he beat them, whether it was employees, whether it was her. So people saying domestic violence, it's not domestic violence when you're beating employees. Then they talked about in the RICO, they talked about the forced labor. They talked about the forced labor. David James goes up there and says that he made him and the security work 20 hours. What did he say about that?
Yeah. So really quick, because I have to jump because my kids. I just got two more things for you. Yeah. Okay. So he did say this was bad. He said he worked from most days like 8 a.m. to 4 a.m. and he made $70,000 a year. And he did say that like he said that he didn't get he said he did get overtime, but he did not disclose what he would get. So we don't know. I mean, they didn't pry any further, the government, but he described his day to day. You know, he would get there before Diddy woke up. He would put the documents in front of, his breakfast, get the breakfast ready with the chef, get his schedule out. He would go with Diddy to his appointments. Then they would go to dinner, or he would set up Diddy's dinner, whether it was like a business dinner or, a pleasure dinner. And then they would go to the studio after that. And then they would go do whatever it was at night. And then he would like disperse this call. I don't know why I went like this. Sorry. He would disperse this call time to the rest of the staff based on Diddy's night that evening, like what time they'd have to be at his house. So yeah, they're setting that foundation to the point of like, hello, this was this was bad.
He said the security was working 20-hour days too, right?
Oh yeah, security. He basically said everybody was working the same amount of time, which was, I like hearing that stresses me out. Thinking about God, and he said, God, that's the most important thing. He said they were doing this like 6 days a week. So that goes along with Don Richards said that he would have them in the studio working for days, not feed them, and all this other stuff. That goes along, to what she was saying, right? Yeah.
About the forced labor.
Yes, but Don Richard, in my opinion, they really ripped her apart.
We're gonna get that's the last two things I want to ask you. But I want to save her for the last. But I want to get two things. The first thing is you let a bombshell on your channel today. And I want everybody to go subscribe to your channel after this. But you said that I think it was Kerry Morgan said that Usher Raymond and Jimmy Iovine Dawn said that Usher Raymond and Jimmy Iovine witnessed Cassie get punched in her stomach. What was that like when she said that?
Well, so yeah, that for me, I was like, because and listen, Usher, to be fair, right? Okay. I need to put it. Okay. Dawn Richard talks about this dinner in LA, and she says that at the dinner, some of his staff is there. There's like 2 bodyguards. It's Diddy, Cassie, Kalina Harper, Dawn. And then at first she's like, it's other celebrities. And then during the cross-examination, they're like, why didn't you talk about who the celebrities were? They really called her out on this. And they're like, who were the celebrities? And she said, Usher and Jimmy Iovine. And at this dinner specifically, we learned that there was this horrible incident where Diddy and Cassie were arguing, and Diddy punched her in the stomach in front of everybody. And she left, like she was like embarrassed and left. And then he kind of slapped her around in the car on the way home as well. And like, I'm thinking, okay, Usher can easily say, yeah, I was there, but I didn't see it. But this is like a small enough dinner crowd. I feel like he probably did see it. But
hold on. So you're saying it wasn't the prosecution, but it was Diddy's lawyers that wanted her to name celebrities' names?
Yeah. The government didn't even press on that. And I was like, damn it, tell us the celebrities. And then during cross, they were like, why'd you leave them out? And she's like, it wasn't intentional. I just, whatever. So they kind of wanted, because I'm getting a feeling that Diddy's lawyers kind of want to put people on blast that haven't been speaking up, because a lot of celebrities have not been speaking up for Diddy that he's been around with for years. And I've seen TMZ put out little articles about, Diddy with these celebrities. And it just didn't make any sense. But it's like, is it a message to send to these celebrities? Like, y'all need to be out here supporting Diddy when he's going through his stuff. But the last thing,
what you said, and that is the question of the day. Give us the real on a report that people are trying to say, oh, Dawn Richards is a liar. Is it that she's a liar, or
I
how
don't
did it
think
go down? Explain to us.
I don't think she's a liar. I definitely don't. I think people need to understand and appreciate that you're in this really odd position where you have the government that, you know, they're breathing down your neck. They're asking you things that happened decades ago. And I personally, like, I kind of blame the government and Dawn's lawyers on this stuff, because she was very uninformed about her own lawsuit, which didn't come across well. And again, that's not her fault. I kind of felt like that was her lawyer's fault, because, you know, the defense was like, well, are you aware you've made this, you know, you've made this civil demand for money? And she's kind of like, what do you mean? And they're like, a civil demand is for money. You want compensation. They had to like really explain this to her. And it was kind of odd. And so with that, they also talked about this incident that was in her lawsuit where Diddy, apparently she said that he dragged Cassie out of a car, like onto all this grass, and everybody saw. And she was like, oh no, my lawyers misspoke. That didn't happen. And you're like, oh, okay, all right. And then apparently, you know, during the redirect, the lawyer said, well, there was another incident similar to that, so she got confused. But either way, her statement about what Diddy said to her after the skillet thing, the beat down with the skillet with Cassie, where the next day he told her and Kalina Harper, you know, if you tell, people tend to go missing. She took that as a death threat. That's a lot of what her testimony was around, is death threat. Well, her prior interviews with the government talking about her testimony and all these statements, she never said that. She stopped at the whole, like, Diddy said that this is passion, Cassie's fine. There's about 7 interviews where she left that out, the whole death threat thing, until like the last interview she did in like May. And then concurrently, they were like, so wait, so you actually, they had text messages. They're like, so you felt like he was threatening your life, but you were showing that you reached out to him several times after you left Dirty Money trying to get work. And she's like, yeah, I did. And then she ended up saying that she reached out on behalf of Kalina Harper because Kalina wanted the work, but paired together, they're like, so this guy threatened you with death, according to you, and you still want to text him to work together. It ended on like a weird note. And then they said, you know, to be fair, your civil suit, you want to be compensated, you know, with money. And she's like, I want to be compensated like for my time and everything I put in when I worked with him. I want justice. And they're like, so you want money? And she's like, yes. So it was, you know, I felt bad for her because she was trying to, you know, just do what she's supposed to. She, you know, she's not on trial, but it kind of felt like she was getting hammered. So,
but if she, here's my last question to you. Like they're asking her these questions, but the thing is this: is Diddy's lawyers denying that she witnessed these beatings, or are they just questioning her about specifics? Because I heard that they said, "Oh, did the frying pan hit the wall?" Or
yeah. So, like, I think without a doubt, during the redirect, they were like, look, you know what you saw. You saw Diddy beat Cassie on multiple occasions. Do you have any doubts about that? And she's like, no, I have no doubts about it. The defense wasn't trying to say that she was lying about this, but they were doing a pretty good job of making us and probably the jury think, well, you know, is she that credible if she's admitting? And she admitted it. She admitted that her statements changed. And she also said that her memory got better with time.
Hold on. Stop right there. You said her statements changed, or she added things on? No.
She said, they said, would you agree? Would you agree your statements have changed? And she said, yes, I would agree with that. So she said that, but she said, you know, my memory has gotten better with time. And at first I'm like, well, that's odd. No one's memory gets better with time. And then she clarified, and I understood this. She said, I have been trying to suppress these memories for so long because they were traumatizing. And these are my words, not hers, that, you know, working with the government and doing this has helped me recover some of these memories. So I was like, okay, either the jury buys it or they don't.
Who do you think, how are you leaning towards this case right now in the court from the feeling you're getting around the courthouse? How do you feel about this case? And then I'm going to tell everybody your channel.
Thank you. I mean, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I hate making predictions because it's so early, but we have a long way to go. And I think that I I mean, I'm in shock at just the violence, I guess. And I just, I can't believe what we're hearing, how he was violent towards women, and it's just it's tragic, it's awful, but they gotta start showing us, besides the witness testimony, which is great for the foundation. We gotta start seeing more physical evidence. But
Well,
it's
hold on. When you say physical evidence, what kind of evidence do you want to
I
see?
mean
Because
receipts. I think the jury needs receipts. I think personally they could just be stoic, but like I'm shocked at the violence I hear, and I'm like, whoa, and I'm disturbed. The jury is just like, and I'm like, are you desensitized to this? Because we are hearing some awful shit right now, and like, I don't know. I don't know what to think. It's strange. Where I'm like, are they just like not? Who knows? But yeah.
man,
But I try to come at this from like an unbiased perspective. I'm
right.
kind of just like, this is what I'm hearing. And I think I just have to remind myself, like, yes, we're hearing this awful stuff, but like, what are they going to prove? What is the jury
Well,
going to
I
think?
think they're proven. I think they're proven the racketeering. The reason why, like, when you think about RICO or racketeering, you have to have the violence in order to have the control.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if I want people to do what I want them to do, the beatings, the savageness that goes along with the coerciveness and the control. If you don't do what I say do, you're gonna get beat. Period. That because Dawn said that when they asked her what was the consequences of not doing what she said she thought it was gonna be death, or if anybody went and told death
Yeah.
or
And
beatings.
so did Daniel Phillip. He thought he would die. He testified he thought he would die. I mean, it's the coercive thing for me for Cassie. I do feel like that is a really big key word in terms of Cassie. I feel like she was coerced, but those text message, the jurors, only 3 of them are under 40. Okay. So I have to think, like, I'm thinking about my parents, right? Like, if my parents are seeing text messages where a woman is saying, "Oh, I love freakoffs. I can't wait to do this with you." Are they going to think she's being coerced? My parents don't know trauma. They don't know how to break down how trauma,
No, but that's
you
why.
know what
But
I
that's
mean?
why.
Like,
But that's why, Lauren. When the feds bring in those doctors, and those doctors talk about psychology, the psychological aspect, because remember,
mhm,
you just said that the worker that he had today said that she's young and she could be molded. Remember
yeah.
that. So if she's influenced by him, you know how it is. When these girls really love a guy, really want to impress a guy, you're 19 years old.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
So if she's
like, my
right,
heart breaks because I know how it is. We say things we don't mean because we want to be accepted. We want their love. They're not giving it to us. And we want it so bad. And so that's why I just think about this and I feel so sad. But let me jump, but I want to come on with you again soon. So
hey,
let's,
okay, so you
yeah.
guys go to Pop Crime TV with Lauren Conlin. I'm gonna pin the link to her channel at the top of the comment section. All you guys go subscribe. Last time y'all went subscribe, I think she got like 1,000 subscribers. So let's get her another 1,000 subscribers
You're
because
the
she do a
best.
great
Thank
job. You do
you.
a great job by putting updates on us.
Thank you,
And every time
Ticket.
you come out, I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? You come out, you put up those updates, and I check. We always checking out your updates when you put them up during the day when you come out during those breaks. So we appreciate you for that.
Thank you. I love going back and forth with you. It's so fun. So thank
Oh
you
yeah,
so
no
much.
problem. No problem.
Okay.
You're welcome
Bye.
anytime. Okay.
I will. Thank you so much. Bye.
All right.
Bye, chat.
All right.
See you guys
All
later.
right. All right. Bye-bye. Okay, everybody. So I thought it was a great conversation with her. Now, going back to this guy right here, bro, I'm just gonna tell y'all like this. He gonna bury them. He's a part of the inner circle. She said there's more people that was on his inner circle that's coming to testify this week. There's more people in the inner circle that's coming to testify this week. And a lot of people are saying, well, I don't see the racketeering. I don't see it because you don't know what to look for. In the racketeering, you're looking for certain things. Exactly what is easy. It's not as complicated as what a lot of people are making it out to be. When you don't understand the law and aspects of the law, you will never understand. So it says for decades, the racketeering conspiracy, this is what they have to prove. And this is what I think guys don't understand and people don't understand. It says for decades, Sean Combs, the defendant, abused. We're seeing the abuse. Everybody saying, "Oh, what about the abuse?" You're seeing it. You're literally seeing the beatings, threatened. You've seen the threats. Numerous people have come said he's threatened them. They're literally proving this and coerced. You're seeing the coercion because the sex workers told you already that they saw Diddy coercing and telling her what to do when they was in those sessions. Also, you can coercion can be done by threats. So my threats are forcing you to do what I want you to do, right? So I'm coercing you by threatening you, or I'm coercing you by telling you. This is all a part of the racketeering charge. Then, right, it says the coerced woman, which is what we've seen happen, and others around him, right, to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, which means all you guys, y'all cover up all my jams, meaning after freakoffs, we got somebody that's going to clean up. We got people that's going to go in here, you know, make sure everything's straight so nobody can come in here and say we did something wrong. Boom, boom, boom. And conceal his conduct, the briberies, by paying people off, making sure that people didn't know what he had going on for all these years. Diddy was doing that. You've seen that through the NDAs. You've seen that through the agreements, or the agreement with the girl who came in today that he gave a concussion with that hanger. You're literally seeing this. Now, it also says to do so, Combs relied on the employees. You're seeing this. Today, you saw the first employee testify, right? You saw the first employee testify today, this guy. He's on the stand right now. He's got an hour left on the stand tomorrow. That dude's going to tell everything. So he's on the stand, and it says he's using his, to do so, they said he used his employees. This is all the things they have to prove. They have to prove he used his employees. So what do? Go get his employees to snitch on him, right? Resources. Resources, what's that? Your money, your contacts, people you know. You understand what I'm saying? And influence, right? His influence, being that he's a celebrity, high-powered guy. A lot of people are going to respect your word. A lot of people are going to bow down to what you say. A lot of people are going to be afraid to go against you. So you use your influence. You gain influence like that through having money. That's how a lot of people gain influence. So I'm literally showing you how they're building the RICO right now. They're literally showing you this. So when they explain those instructions to the jury before they go in to, you know, decide on this, the jury's going to see all of these things. Then you guys got to remember, they haven't even brought in the doctors yet to talk about the psychology point. They got all that stuff coming. She said they got all kind of witnesses still coming. They ain't even came yet. So it says to do this to conceal his conduct. It says that he, in the multifaceted business empires that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise, meaning they were breaking the law, whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other crimes, sex trafficking, forced labor, right? So everybody that the guy out there today said they was forced to work 20-hour shifts every day. That's forced labor right there. The fact that you making people work from 8 a.m. to 4 a.m., that's forced labor. And he said not only did he do it, he said that Diddy made the whole entire security staff work 20-hour shifts. That's forced labor. Kidnapping. We saw the kidnapping on the tape with Cassie. That ain't even a question. Arson, right? And here's the thing, y'all. In the RICO, what these guys don't understand, you only have to prove two aspects of the RICO in the last 10 years. In a 10-year span, you only have to prove two aspects of the RICO for it to be racketeering. That's what these bums on YouTube don't understand. They don't understand. In the RICO, you only have to prove two aspects of the racketeering in a 10-year span with more than one person. They've already proven more than three aspects. They've already proven it. All they have to do is prove two aspects for it to be a RICO. That's the part people don't understand. So they got to prove, if they can prove the arson, if they can prove the bribery, which they've already done. They've already done that. Prove two aspects for the RICO with multiple people. Guess what they're doing? Proving it was more than one person. You know why? Because his employee has turned state. He broke down crying on the stand today. So now you have two people, has to be more than one people, right? That's a freako. Brother Jones, I don't have to show nothing, dog. Get off my channel, bro. I'm a grown man. You come around here, bro. You don't run nothing on this channel, brother. Sit your ass down somewhere, dog. The hell wrong with you, bro? Don't you ever come around here telling me what I need to do on my network. This is Ticket TV, not Lil John's. Sit your ass down somewhere. So as I was saying to y'all, right, before I had to clap a clown, this guy right here is giving y'all, him testifying is giving you more than Diddy. So for a RICO, it has to be more than one person. So you got two people. Then it has to be two aspects of the RICO that they violated in 10-year span for them to prove that it's a RICO. Go look at the law. They literally, to prove the racketeering, all they have to do is prove the violence, and all they have to do is prove the bribery. They do that, they've proven the RICO. I'm gonna repeat myself. That's what people don't understand about the law. They don't understand what it is. They do not understand what it is. All you have to do is prove two aspects of racketeering to get a conviction. And the sad part is that people don't understand that. That's the sad part. People don't understand that. So they get two aspects, they're going to prove that. You better believe they're going to prove that. They get two aspects. They get two aspects, game over. Game over. You can go ahead, you understand what I'm saying, and cancel Christmas. Because game's over. So, and I believe they've already proved two aspects of the racketeering. I believe they can prove at least 6 from the things I'm seeing right now, right? So here's the thing, right? When you look at it and you understand the guidelines of RICO and these other things, that's the part that people don't understand. You got to understand the guidelines of RICO, right? The forced labor, the guy just went up, his worker just went up to the day and said he was working 20-hour shifts, 6 days a week. That's crazy, bro. You're getting up at 8 in the morning and going to sleep at 4 a.m.? That's insane. That's modern day slavery. And Lauren said that the dude was getting paid $70,000 a year. So you getting paid $70,000 a year to get up at that time in the morning. Come on, man. That's everybody in this chat room know that's cap. That's BS, man. That's abuse, bro. That's abuse, bro. So and Diddy was cheap like that. Had these people out here, running on fumes all the time. That's crazy work by Diddy, right? Crazy work by Puff. Should have never did that, man. He should have never did that, bro. That's disgusting, man. You know what I'm saying? So you got people out here busting their ass for you, man. Like, bro, at least show some people some love, man. You know what I'm saying? But then again, Diddy only care about himself. And when you got a guy like that only care about himself, this is the result you get. These are the results you get. When you get a guy like that cares about himself. So we definitely going to see how this thing plays out, everybody. This is one of the ones where I'm telling y'all, this shit going, and then they showed Cassie getting her ass whooped today. Did everybody see those pictures? Right? Crazy work. Crazy work. Crazy work. Crazy work. You know what I'm saying? Those pictures of Cassie today, man, the man punched her eye open, man. How you punch a girl's eye open like that, bro? And you respect yourself as a man, bro? You punched that girl's eye open. That's bro. That's foul, man. Like that shit foul, man. And the pictures didn't lie. I seen them pictures, bro. I seen them pictures, man. That shit foul, man. Real talk, bro. You don't do nobody. You don't do no human being like that, bro. Like I'm not with that, especially no female. You know what I mean? And I'm just keeping it 100% real with y'all, man. Right? And I don't respect it at all. You know? Real talk. It's not cool, man. You know? They talk about Diddy's former assistant. I told you guys. You know, David James, he said that Diddy told this man, right? He told the jury he was smoking cigarettes on a dock with Cassie, right? And he said she told him, man, this lifestyle is crazy. David says he told her to leave and she thought it was crazy. And he responded, I can't get out. And David said that he testified that Cassie told him that Diddy was responsible for her career, her music, he controlled her life. And he told the jury, I didn't think she could easily leave. And I'm reading quotes. From what he said. And it said David's testimony lined up with the testimony of Kerry Morgan, Cassie's former friend, who said Cassie told her she couldn't leave Diddy because he was basically in charge of her life, namely her job, her car, her apartment, her career, and that Cassie would have lost her life, her livelihood, if she left Diddy. She felt like, and this is what happens when you sell out your soul. You know what I'm saying? And they said, David said, I'm reading right from the TMZ article, y'all. It said, David said, and this is the guy, David, I told y'all, that snitched today. This was Diddy's right-hand man, one of his right-hand men. And they said that David said from the second conversation happened in a taxi at the Sundance Film Festival. Well, he said Cassie was super happy and wanted to tell him about a track list she came up with for a new album. And he said she started telling him about the songs, but when prosecutors asked him if he remembered the album coming out, he said the album didn't come out. And he also talked about how Diddy was dating a bunch of women at once. He said Diddy referred to Kim Porter as his queen. And he said that Diddy once told him he had Cassie right where he wanted her and that Cassie was moldable. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy, bro. That's crazy, man. Unbelievable stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? That shit, man. That lifestyle, you get into it, man. That's why you got to blame the people that get into that lifestyle, too. You know? Because once you get into that lifestyle, man, you know what I'm saying? It's hard to get out, man. You know? I already told you guys, once you sell your soul, you know, and a lot of people sell their soul. You know? A lot of people sell their soul. And, I mean, bro, I got pictures of this stuff. I mean, they got pictures of the drugs. I don't want to put that on the screen. But they got Frank Black on the tablets. Bro, they got drugs on the table, all this stuff, man. I got pictures of this stuff. The Astroglide, pills, all kind of stuff, man. It's just some nasty stuff, man. Lighters. Bro, the lifestyle they was living, man, crazy work, bro. They got that pink stuff. And they talked about a dude who did the traveling and stuff, who did the transport. They called him One Stop. You know who that is. They're going to use his nickname. Not his real name. Right? Crazy work, bro. If y'all would have seen this hotel that Diddy was in, man, like a roach hotel. This shit is like a roach hotel he was in. Crazy, bro. It literally looked like a roach hotel. Or they scraped up the floor trying to get evidence. It's a 5-star hotel, but they scrape up the floor trying to get that evidence, man. Shit crazy, man. They pulled up the floor trying to get evidence in that room. I'm literally looking at the pictures now. They got baby oil bottles. Bro, that shit crazy, man. This nigga Diddy, man. Damn. Louis V bag. Phone charger. Diddy got all his clothes up in there. Yeah, and this one I think this one they ran up in that hotel. They scraped the whole floor up in that room. They found the cash for the sex workers. Man, they got all that stuff, man. They got all that stuff. I'm looking at the photos right now as I'm talking to y'all. You know what I'm saying? Crazy work. Then they showed photos. Cassie all hurt, man. That shit's sad, man. You know what I'm saying? Sad. What else do we see here, man? But yeah, man, you guys, again, man, tall. Y'all let me know what y'all feeling, man. Hopefully everybody, you know what I'm saying, doing well, man. Y'all. Salute to everybody that's tapped on in, man. Appreciate y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all feel.
All right, you guys. So we appreciate everybody that popped in, supported this video. Make sure that you guys shop our merch. We got that new A Weapons merchandise right there below this video. All you got to do is look below. The links will be pinned at the top of the comment section as well to get the merch, to donate, support the channel, and subscribe to our podcast show. You'll see all those links pinned at the top of the comment section of this video. And we appreciate everybody that supports this channel and our networks. Also, that straight drop weight loss formula. Go to the website. You guys will see that. A link for that will be pinned at the top of the comment section as well. Go right there for all of your weight loss needs. Straight drop weight loss formula. We have a lot of testimonials on the website. You can go to www.str-8-drop.com and get you some of the weight loss formula today. Take your weight loss serious. Get in the gym, work out, exercise, and do what you got to do to stay on point. We appreciate everybody that's been locked into this video. Again, all the links are pinned at the top of the comment section below. Salute to all of y'all. And again, we appreciate everybody who support what we doing over here.